7% of all high school athletes go on to play in college. As proud members of the 93% that didn't, this is Fratletes.
Awesome. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Fratletes. We are just over 24 hours from the after the NFL trade deadline. We've had some time to simmer, let the thoughts sit. Now we're going to go over the winners and losers from the draft deadline. It was a pretty interesting day, to say the least, boys. Definitely one of the more high volume trade deadlines. I think it was like most trades ever on deadline day at 10.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it was. That's facts.
Yeah. All right. So I guess let's start with the positives. Let's start it off on a high note. Let's go over some of our winners from yesterday. So, Sini, who do you have as your first winner that you took away?
I guess I've kind of put them in order. Do you want to go by like number one? I have like a number one winner, and then like number two.
Let's go your three. Let's go the guys that are like good
My
winners, and then we can get to the big ones.
Actually, this might throw some people off. My number three is actually the Chicago Bears, and I think the Bears put themselves in a position to make some really good moves this offseason. I know that they lost Roquan Smith. I know it gets better. It's better to get something for a guy who was absolutely guaranteed to be walking in the offseason.
Yeah.
They got something in return for him, and instead of just losing him and not getting anything, they didn't pay him, so they're keeping a lot of money. They also dished out Robert Quinn, so the Bears are going to be able to make some significant moves during free agency. And they're acquiring Chase Claypool. I'm not saying Claypool's awesome. I don't think that's going to be the last piece of their puzzle. But they put themselves in a position to where this offseason they're going to be able to spend a lot of money on offensive line and defense. And I think that they got it. They finally have a first round pick this year. So
yeah, finally.
They got to go receiver. Spend a lot of money on your offensive line and on your defense. Get yourselves a stud receiver and another loaded class. And I think the Chicago Bears, seeing how much that Justin Fields is progressing over the weeks, the last 4 weeks, weeks 1 through 4, or 1 through 3, or 1 through 4, Justin Fields was like dead last in fantasy points. In the last 4 weeks, he's the number 2 quarterback in fantasy football. So he's obviously progressing, making these designed QB runs for Justin Fields, and he's looking like a miniature Lamar Jackson out there, honestly. Like the dude is out there playing ball, and it's awesome. So I think the Bears put themselves in a really good for the future.
All right, Hayden, as like a fan of the team on the other side of that Chase Claypool for a second round pick, what were your thoughts on that trade?
So, I don't know. I was kind of conflicted because Chase is like the one receiver we have that can like physically go up and get like a high point of ball and catch it and come down with it. Like Pickens and Deontay are both kind of quicksters that can like catch it like on their tiptoes on the sidelines. But at the same time, he hadn't really been doing shit before the last like 2 or 3 games. So like we couldn't, if we wanted to trade for him, we would have had to trade like a 5th round pick. But he started like balling out the last 2 games, so I think that really like raised his value. So they basically like bought low and sold high. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it comes out on like on a strictly like logistics, like on paper, it looks it's probably best, but it just does suck because like I did like Chase Claypool and when he was good, he was very very good. Like that game against the Eagles last year, or not last year, 2 years ago, where he scored 4 touchdowns as a rookie. You just don't see that. But I also heard he's like a drama queen in the locker room, so who knows?
Yeah, I heard a lot about the whole locker room thing. And I think it works out for the Steelers because you get a second round pick. And if there's one thing the Steelers are notoriously good at doing, it's like they'll get a receiver in like the second or third round and they'll just for 3 years be really good. And then they'll leave and they'll just be like below average. So I think it's a risk for the Bears. But like you said, it's a good risk. I think Roquan was leaving no matter what. You pretty much flip-flop picks there. And you get Chase Claypool. You get him for another year, so you have him for this year and next year. You can see what he's like with Fields. Fields is improving. I liked it. I liked it for the Bears. I liked it for the Steelers. I think it was a good trade for both.
Yeah,
I really do.
Both ways.
I feel like that was a solid trade. Hey, who's one of your winners?
Honestly, I think the Dolphins probably had the best trade day. Not only like did they trade for Tyreek Hill in the offseason, but they just got Bradley Chubb. So like their offense is stacked, double like two receivers that can do damage, high and low. Now their defense just got bolstered by one of the best, like the now their defense that always gets overshadowed by Myles Garrett and T.J. Watt and Aaron Donald, things like that. I think the Dolphins, like the Bills, will probably win the East, but the Dolphins are going to be right on their ass.
I do really like what the Dolphins have done. And that graphic of showing them trading back so the 49ers could go up to get Lance and they got out of that Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and Bradley Chubb. That graphic alone is insane. I think this helps the Dolphins a lot. I just think the Bills are so good in that division that, like you said, the Bills are going to win it. But I think the Dolphins being a wild card team is going to make it really hard to win on the road each game in the playoffs. Because I was talking to a few fans yesterday, and Miami's that one team right now where you don't want to have to face them in Miami in the playoffs, just because there's so much energy around them right now. That's a team you want to have to come to your place in prime time, and you can control the energy. For my winner, I just love what the Vikings did getting TJ Hawkinson. And I think it was such a weird trade because I thought the Lions got all these picks in return. And then you found out that the Lions gave the Vikings 2 fourth-round picks as well. So I was just off the bat extremely confused, and I still am, why the Lions would give their young star tight end and 2 fourth-round picks to the team leading their division. That was what, inter-division trades I already think are weird, but the fact that you give it this isn't like some 37-year-old that you're like, okay, what? He's going to do something this year and like that he's good. This could be a centerpiece for the Vikings offense with Jay Jettis for the next 7 years. Like that is just very strange to me that you would give the team leading your division, a division rival, that big of an upgrade at really the only weakness left in their offense, except playing on prime time.
Yeah, I actually go ahead, Sini. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I agree. I think it was a very weird trade, especially going in interdivision. Vikings added another key piece, and now looking in the end zone, Adam Thielen is still an absolute red zone target, red zone threat. He's one of the best in the game. Adding TJ Hawkinson, who I think, he's one of the best young tight ends in the game. I mean, it's at a short. There's not a lot of tight ends in the league that have their job secured.
Who can you realistically put ahead of him? I mean, you would put Kelsey, Kittle, Andrews, but is there really another guy that you can say is?
You absolutely can't put Kyle Pitts there.
Guy,
he was supposed to be that guy, but he hasn't.
He was.
It's very short. Not a lot of tight ends in the league have their spot secured, and he's one of the top 5, no doubt.
It's weird because TJ Hawkinson and Kyle Pitts were the two guys like coming out of the draft in the past 4 years where it's like these guys are going to reset the tight end position. And like Hawkinson has, and you just keep waiting to see that from Pitts. So hopefully Pitts can be there, but you just gave your rival a 25-year-old tight end who's top 4 in the league. That's just crazy to me. But
I actually also had the Vikings as one of my winners. If I can just pivot on that real fast.
Yeah.
Like you said, Cini, I'm glad you pointed out, like, with Justin Jefferson, people, like, automatically forget about Adam Thielen. Like, Adam Thielen is a very, very good receiver. He's got that dog in him, D2 guy. He's got that dog. And then, like, you give him TJ Hawkinson, like, what did the Lions get in return?
It was a second and fourth.
Dude, it's so strange that you almost wonder, like, is something afoot? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying there is, but just like it's so weird. Like, why would they do that?
You have to question if TJ Hawkinson behind closed doors was like, dude, I want out of here. Like, this is not what I want to do. Because that's the only way I see that you would be pressing either that or they were shopping Hawkinson and every team was giving them 3rd and 4th round picks. And then the Vikings were like, we'll give you a second. and they were like, "That's just so much better that we have to give him to our division rival." But
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can like. If they were dead set on trading Hawkinson, and then the Vikings gave him an overwhelming offer, that's the only way I can really contemplate why they did that.
You
But
guys think like NFL GMs have like a group message where like behind, you know how like everything gets like leaked to where like Schefter's like Elijah Moore's requested a trade. You think like
Yeah.
you said Hawkinson just went to the office and was like, man, I don't want this like publicly exposed, but like I want out. Do you think he like goes into a chat and is just like with our fantasy football leagues, like the GM's just like,
he's
hey,
like, Hawkinson's available.
is available. Like
yeah. What I was thinking also is like it could just be that like the Lions front office is just exactly how they are on the field, which is just they make weird decisions, and it's just like you chalk it up to it's just the Lions.
That's what I was thinking.
Like, dude, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I had TJ Hawkinson on my fantasy team. I honestly got mad that he switched teams, even though he's going to a better team, because he was, besides Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's like hurt most of the time, he was the prime target. So I was getting all the catches.
Yeah.
Now I gotta split him with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. It's gonna fucking suck,
And
bro.
Dalvin Cook.
I might also trade TJ Hawkinson. He might also be available.
No, that is another thing. I think I was looking at like winners because I wanted to go online, see what people were saying. And I kind of forget that this you could consider a trade deadline move. Is the 49ers, even though they're getting bashed because of the whole Trey Lance trade, they still got Christian McCaffrey. Like it wasn't a bad and he scored 3 touchdowns in his first game, a throwing, a catching, and a running. So it's like they still won. I mean, they got Christian McCaffrey. That offense is going to be just the weirdest gadgety offense because it's like every gadget player, you're like, that tight end that's insane at blocking, but also can run routes with that wide receiver who's also a running back, and then the running back who's also a receiver. They're all on the same offense. Like there's just such weird things you can do with that offense.
No better offense to be on than Kyle Shanahan's too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got any more winners?
Yeah, actually, I have 2 more. We already mentioned the Dolphins. The Dolphins were actually my number 1 winner. I thought what they did was they were really struggling on defense. They have been all year, and the addition of Bradley Chubb's exactly what they need, especially in the pass rush. And they gave away Chase Edmonds in this deal, but they also managed to acquire Jeff Wilson to split the backfield with his new teammate Raheem Mostert. So I thought everything that the Dolphins did, they gave up a first, but Bradley Chubb's 26 years old and arguably not hit his prime. They got the key accusation that they needed. Their pass rush is going to get a lot better, and hopefully that leads to more interceptions because I'm pretty sure they only have 1 on the year.
Which is weird because of Xavier Howard 2 years ago.
A loaded secondary. So, they were my number 1, and I also have the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, I know that hurts to say. But the Ravens gave up a second-round pick for a top 3 interior linebacker in the NFL. There's not really much else to say about this. However, the Ravens were not able to land a receiver in this trade deadline. And
that's why I couldn't put him as a winner. I could not put him as a winner because of that.
Not like the Ravens front office was like, wow, we really got some offensive struggles out here. Bang, let's go get a linebacker. But
no. And I will say it's weird because I want to before 2 weeks ago, if you told me we didn't get a receiver at the deadline, I'd be like, okay, like it happens. Like I wouldn't expect it. But with Rashad out for a few weeks and Andrews is still like 50% with his shoulder, I thought you'd at least see like a Kendrick Bourne or something, like give up a 5th for a decent receiver. I mean, like we literally, Devin Duvernay is our number 1 receiver right now. Like that is crazy. But I get what they were doing because Lamar, if you look at, has put us in position to win every game, and then the defense blew it. So I got that aspect of it, but I would have loved to see them grab just somebody. And that's why I couldn't put them in the winners.
Who's behind Duvernay?
Well, it would be Tylan Wallace or James Prochet, who both probably combined for less than 15 targets in their career. Oh, sorry, Demarcus Robinson. We also have Demarcus
Yeah,
Robinson.
D-Rob's
Who
gonna get a lot of action.
D-Rob has
Weird.
that weird thing.
Monday Night Football this week.
Yeah, against the Saints.
Yeah, I was like all in on starting Duvernay, but I think I've talked myself out of it in my flex play and fantasy because I'm shorthanded. And I actually just dropped him for DeAndre Carter. So if you want to go pick him up, he's up there.
I feel like they're gonna have Lattimore just shadow him and take him out of the game. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. And I also think you
Mm.
guys are going to run the ball like 75% of the time.
That was the other thing. I would have been okay with getting Cam Akers, but we'll get into that in the losers. So let's move on to our.
Last thing I want to say about the Ravens is as much as I hate this team, this is kind of going to go on to one of my rant and the losers later. But as much as I despise this team and their scumbag fan base, you gotta respect the solid franchises making moves at times like this because a lot of teams just sit back and don't make moves during these times. And this is a franchise every single year. You see him making a move in free agency. You see him making moves at the deadline. You see him wanting to win games, and you got to respect it. You got to respect it.
I have two quick winners real fast, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
One is the Washington Commanders because they traded Will Jackson III. Is it Will Jackson III?
Yeah, William. Yeah.
Yeah, Will Jackson III to the Steelers when they were like publicly like, if no one's gonna trade him, we're just gonna release him. So I mean, like,
yeah, I didn't get that either.
So I mean, it's just because of the security. Like, it was for sure that we got him because if he was cut, it would be a waiver claim, and we're still high in the waivers. We're one of the worst teams in the league. I don't.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean that was a kind of a slight finesse because like you were very open. Like, man, he's kind of just like
not playing
on his way out, and they're like, we'll give you a second round pick or something, whatever the fuck they gave for him.
I think it was a fifth.
I want to say fifth.
Yeah,
I want to say fifth.
Also, go ahead.
I was just real quick. Ian Rappaport posting a picture of William Jackson getting absolutely bodied as the picture showing that he was traded. I was like, imagine this is how you find out and you don't know who he is. And the only sort of thing you know about him is he got just bodied on this play. Like, that was bold of him.
That was that verbal gift, bro. Like, oh, that was so disrespectful.
Yeah, that was so disrespectful. Who was your last one?
My last one is just real quick. The Jaguars getting Calvin Ridley is like that's a sneaky move, and it is going to pay out tremendously next year.
That's one of those moves that you forget. We'll all forget about this until like August, and everyone's like, "Holy shit!" Like Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley look insane in training camp, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh crap, they got Calvin Ridley! I completely forgot." And that's gonna be like, "Gosh, they finessed everyone back then."
Yeah, dude.
So I do like that. That's one of those sneaky picks.
Didn't they give up a fifth for him?
Yeah, but it's weird. It could go to a second. It's a very weird conditional pick, and it's like based off of if he signs contract extensions.
I was about to say if he blows up, then it's a second round pick or something.
Yeah, like if he plays X amount of games.
Because this dude's what, 23, 24 years old, and wasn't he like?
Yeah, he's like just 25. Yeah, he was number 21 overall pick from Atlanta.
Yeah, dude, like. I don't know. I knew he wanted out of Atlanta. He's hated it there forever, but yeah, that one blew my mind. That was definitely a good job on the Jaguars' part.
You can only go to Magic City so many times, you know.
You really can. Hey, let's go on. Yeah, unless you're James Harden, then you own that place. So now on to the other end of the spectrum in the NFL. Who crapped the bed for you guys in the at the trade deadline?
Hey, and you want to start off?
Yeah, I will because I actually had the Bears. My thing is, like, I get what you're saying about like setting up for the future. Trading for Claypool for a second round. The Browns traded for Amari Cooper for a fifth round, and I would say Amari is better than Chase Claypool, and that's
I don't think many people are going to argue with you on that one.
Yeah. And it's also the same you gave away or you obtained for Roquan Smith. So, like, I mean, I guess they're the same skill, like, in terms of, like, ranking the line. But maybe Roquan – I don't really know much about Roquan, but I feel like in terms of, like, ranking all receivers and ranking all the linebackers, they'll be in, like, the same range. Mm-hmm. But, like, The fact that it wasn't the Ravens' second round pick, but it was their own second round pick,
Yeah, that was what was weird.
when they're gonna have a better draft pick than the Ravens will, it doesn't make sense to me. I think they kind of poop the bed. And like, I guess it's to grow Justin Fields and mature him up and help him like get better. But like, for what? A couple more games to win this year?
So apparently, the reason that they had to give their own was the Packers also offered a second round pick for Claypool, and the Bears offered the Ravens, and
Steelers.
I was trying to think. The Steelers were then like, well, the Packers pick's probably going to be better than the Ravens, so we'll just send them there. And then the Bears were like, what if we give you ours? And then that's how it got done. But apparently, yeah, that's why. So it was kind of like whether the Packers actually did or not, or if the Steelers were like, well, the Packers, the team that's been blowing you out, offered us theirs, so it's probably going to be better. And they're like, just take ours. Just take ours. So it might have been the
As a guy that has Claypool on my bench in fantasy, I really, really would have loved for him to go to the Packers rather than the Bears.
that would have skyrocketed his value. And that actually takes me to my first loser. And I did actually kind of like players / teams for this. I went with frustrated / disgruntled running backs, and their fantasy owners. That's Cam Akers and Kareem Hunt. Why neither player was traded for or traded is beyond me. The Browns wanted a 4th round pick, and we're very open about that. They say you offer us a 4th, you have Kareem Hunt. Bada bing, bada boom. Simple. And no team thought Kareem Hunt was worth a 4th. I understand that everything that is background and like you have to take that on as an organization. But if you are one piece away, especially some of these top teams without a running back, Kareem Hunt is still a top like he's a good run. Every time he's on the field, like you're just like, oh wow, why is Kareem Hunt a backup in this league? That was big. Cam Akers he even tweeted out before the deadline. He said, I miss playing football. He is very clearly never going to step on the field again for the LA Rams. So I'm not sure the thought process behind not getting anything for him. Like if they got offered a 7th round pick, like wouldn't you take that over the guy not playing at all? Like that's why it was weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat, and I'm gonna, since we're talking about like frustrated players, I'm gonna start off with who I think my biggest loser was actually the Green Bay Packers.
That was my biggest too.
Aaron Rodgers has to be completely pissed off, and they're actually my number one loser. I just don't understand what they see on offense. I didn't know that they were offering Claypool, but they don't have anything more to give up other than compared to what the Bears offered, clearly. Unless I don't think he's worth a second and an additional pick. I didn't even think he was worth a second, in my opinion. But, I mean, the Packers' offense has been miserable. You got rid of Davante Adams. It seems like I say this every single year is like the biggest thing you expect the Packers to do is get a weapon for Aaron Rodgers. And we just ourselves saying the same thing over and over. It's like, oh, wow, they didn't get a receiver again. Like you're dealing with Allen Lazard, Robert Tonyan, Christian Watson, I believe is his name.
Yeah, Christian Watson. And Amari Rodgers.
Romeo Doubs has been doing really well. He's looked good. But, I mean, these are young guys you're counting on with what's clearly a frustrated Aaron Rodgers who seemed to be pissed off for years now. And I don't know. I think that if like 5 years ago when we first started saying like, oh, let's get Aaron Rodgers another receiver, if the front office did go get something for Aaron Rodgers, I truly think he would have 3 Super Bowls.
Without a doubt. Like, yes, they've had Davante, and like we were just saying, but it got to the point where literally last year he was playing against the misfit toys that was the Baltimore Ravens secondary. And all the Ravens did was they literally said, Davante's not beating us. And they had someone man press him and then someone in zone over top 10 yards behind him. and he caught like 2 balls that game, and the misfit Ravens almost beat him. So it's just like, yes, they had that insane weapon, but teams would literally just be like, okay, so we're not going to let Devontae beat us. And then he could still make something happen, but now you don't even have that guy that's attracting their attention, and you just have nobody. And now it's just Aaron Rodgers either handing the ball off or tossing it deep, hoping Alan Lazard brings it in. I mean, he had 70 yards passing up until like the third or fourth quarter last game. Like, it's not Aaron Rodgers. That's not all. And then one last thing about the Packers. So they offer a second-round pick confirmed for Claypool. The Broncos wanted a second or a third and a fourth, or third and fifth for Judy. Why did the Packers not just say, okay, we didn't get Claypool, let's go just give them that second and get Jerry Judy or get Brandon Cooks? Like, yeah,
Brandon Cooks
they
especially.
yes, they made an offer for Claypool, but they obviously did not see Claypool must have been the only guy they wanted or seeing willing. But to give up a second round pick for Claypool, but not be willing to do that for Jerry Judy, or give up even less for Brandon Cooks or someone of that caliber, there's just no excuse for the Packers in this one.
Yeah, I'm honestly starting to think that it's personal that like Aaron Rodgers is so open about hating them. Like, well, all right, buddy, fuck you. Like, fuck me, no, fuck you. And they're just like not getting any receivers.
Yeah, no, I mean
We're all just gonna be losers.
Yeah. So next loser, I gotta just call them out. The Carolina Panthers have absolutely zero clue how to run an organization, manage a football team, and play the game of football. They were offered in the position where they are in complete blow it up. We just traded away Roby Anderson. We traded away Christian McCaffrey. We have no quarterback. We have 3 quarterbacks on the roster. We're switching. And the LA Rams offered them not 1, but 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns, and the Carolina Panthers said no.
How do the Rams even have those picks?
It was in 2024 and 2025. But
Jesus.
Still, that's when you're that's best case for when you're good again. So here's what's wrong. Brian Burns is at the end of his contract. Carolina will now have to pay this man anything he asks for. He's going to reset the market for edge rushers. He's going to be one of the big edge rushers out there. They have to pay him now. They could have had that off the books, been able to go get other guys to help supplement the team, and have 2 first-round picks. So between that and not being able to trade DJ Moore, who I know teams were offering first-round picks for, you had an opportunity to actually put yourself in a position to build a solid team, and they didn't do it. So the Carolina Panthers lost this trade deadline. And I think you could, if the Packers didn't just screw Aaron Rodgers over, I think they'd be the biggest losers.
Yeah, I had the Packers and Lions, but more importantly, their quarterbacks. So like Aaron Rodgers because he doesn't have one to throw to, and then now Jared Goff because he now has no one to throw to.
Jared Goff lost the deadline when he woke up and he was still a member of the Detroit Lions. I know some of those players got to be thinking when you're on an atrocious team, they got to Google their name. Am I getting thrown around in trade deadline talks? Is there a possibility? Going to bed 1-6, like TJ Hawkinson, and waking up 6-1, that's got to be an incredible feeling. So
the Lions had a chance. I feel like I say this often, dude. Every single year, it's like, okay, the Lions have a chance this year to prove they're not dog shit. And here we are. They're dog shit. They're fat dog shit. Not like a small little Yorkie or Shih Tzu. They're like a big-ass Great Dane dog shit. I want to see them do well. I'm so tired of it. I hate just seeing the same team own the division for years and years and years. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but yeah, the Lions still suck, and I'm just coming to the realization they're always going to suck. And until they prove me wrong, whatever. What they did to Megatron still haunts me. Yeah, my next loser is actually Los Angeles Chargers. I think it's fair to put them as a big fat loser because this team, I know they're dealing with a huge injury bug and they did not make a single move. On top of this, they went absolutely all in this offseason. I mean, what a bunch of people saw on pen and paper, you would there. I saw a lot of people having them on top of the AFC, let alone their division. A lot
Oh
of people
yeah.
winning the AFC West ahead of the Chiefs, ahead of as a top seed in the AFC, potential Super Bowl appearance, and I mean they acquired Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson. Keep in mind, J.C. Jackson got benched this year. J.C. Jackson got benched one game because he has been that fucking bad.
And then he tore his didn't he tear something? I think he's
I'm
out
not,
for the season now too.
I didn't know about that. I was just gonna hate on him for being trash, but I didn't know he was injured, so that wasn't really part of it. But prayers
Oh
up
no,
for-
he got like benched and then they gave him another opportunity the next game and like then tore something.
okay, cool. Like, yeah, I wasn't hating on him only being injured, but yeah, he'd been trash up to that injury.
Yeah.
And you look at what on pen and paper was this juggernaut defense, and you thought they'd be absolutely unstoppable, and now they're just one of the worst in the league. I haven't even mentioned the offense, boys. We have Keenan Allen, who's been out for injury since I was born, and then he's
Mike Williams.
Mike Williams is on the sideline too now, and
Mhm.
this guy Keenan Allen with a hamstring injury has been out longer than a man that got shot in the leg twice.
But it's insane.
Keenan, it's Keenan Allen and Darren Waller. They got a bag and was just like, it seems like they just don't care no more. Like I don't know, man.
Darren Waller's weird. I mean,
Chargers
he
went
fell
all
off a cliff.
They had a huge video at the beginning of the season about how they're all in, how this is our year, and they have it. They got Eckler, they got the offensive weapons, they got a beast defense, and they suck.
You can't do a thing. It's weird. It's insane. It really is insane.
I don't know about y'all. You talked about how it must feel great for TJ Hawkinson to go to bed 1-6 and wake up 6-1. If we talk about biggest losers, like the biggest loser, and I'm not talking NBC show about overweight people. The biggest loser from a trade deadline has to be Zach Moss getting traded from the Bills, who's probably going to win the Super Bowl, to the shitty Colts, bro, to just sit behind Jonathan Taylor. Like that's got to suck.
When you're a throw-in, that is awful. You
Yeah.
don't even when your name isn't even included in the original Schefter tweet, that's gotta sting. That's how irrelevant you are. If your name's not in the original Schefter tweet, that is tough pill to swallow. And if your name's after the pick compensation, that also says something.
Yeah, alongside Zach Moss, Chase Edmonds was that dude as well. These are two dudes that kind of have some respect, but it was like Schefter's like, no, I'm shitting on you today.
Yeah, like they didn't.
Baseball, they're the player to be named later.
Yeah,
Dude, between him doing that and Rappaport showing Jackson III getting absolutely smoked, like they were just fucking on one today.
Yeah.
The best one was AJ Klein, who we traded to the Bears in the trade, was mentioned as a veteran linebacker. They didn't even name drop my man on the second tweet. They just said are sending a second, a fifth, and a veteran linebacker. Like they're like, okay, people are gonna like sort of remember who you are, dude, but we're just gonna like clear it up. Veteran linebacker.
Makes the trade sound better.
Yeah, exactly. Make the Bears look like they got a piece that they can replace Roquan with. Let alone it's the dude that we literally just brought in to sit in on special teams for 2 weeks while we got healthy.
All right, it's like trading for JaVale McGee.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
You're
he's just gonna
like,
sit there and like help the boys on the bench.
yeah, like you keep watching his highlights from like 5-6 years ago, and you're like, God, like okay, we got JaVale McGee, and then you're like, oh crap, JaVale actually doesn't play. Like you're like, oh wait, that was like this is the guy he's here for veteran presence.
Yeah.
Awesome. You guys have any more winners or losers?
I've won. You guys got any?
No, I think the Panthers were my last one. I kind of went over the Lamar Jackson thing. I thought he was a loser for the wide receiver list trade deadline.
My one loser, my last loser is kind of depressing. It's the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm just kind of like the Chargers. I'm just disappointed we didn't make a single move. After Monday's outing, it seems that's a must-win game against a sorry-ass Browns team, and we treated them like the fucking Patriots in their prime. We didn't make a single move. We have an insane secondary. Us and the Chargers were back and forth between starting the fucking local UPS men at cornerback, and receiver were hurt. We got Trent Taylor and Mike Thomas, who couldn't catch a cold, playing the slot. I wanted to see us go all in just one time, but we're just sitting back and didn't make a move. And it just seems like last year was a fever dream and that it wasn't really real at all. And I'm looking at the 2010 to 2019 era of the Cincinnati Bengals again after last week, and my hopes are just down. My hopes are very down. I'm gonna try not to be Debbie Downer, but we have a really tough schedule throughout going forward. We gotta bounce back and get a win against the Panthers this week. But where am I at, man?
That would be like insane insult to injury. If you drop the Browns and Panthers back to back and make no trades at the deadline in between, that's tough to convince your fan base that you guys are like trying to win.
We've never done it. We never give up our draft picks. I mean, I guess I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just this year it felt like we got the squad. You have all the pieces, man. Go get something. Didn't get a single person to add to the secondary. We didn't get nothing, man. Our left tackles suck. They're bums. I'm out here. Eli Apple is my number one corner, man. Eli Apple is who I'm rooting for to go make some plays. So, yeah,
burnt toast. Yeah, it was I thought the Bengals were going to do something as well. Was definitely very shocked when nothing happened. Thought at least maybe some defensive help somewhere, but.
Dude, the Jaguars traded for a player who's suspended for the rest of the year before your team traded for anybody who could play tomorrow.
That's crazy. That's good perspective, Hayden. Thank you for saying that. I feel like we all needed that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You definitely need to hear that.
All right. Well, that wraps up the NFL trade deadline winners and losers. And we will see you next time. So, peace.
So,
gentlemen.
I'll see you, boys.